On BART. I'm on the.
You're not on BART.
I just explained to you that you were detained.
Let my shit go, bro.
Did I not?
Bro, let my shit go.
You are detained and you're not free to go.
That's part of that. Bro, you come up here and fuck with me. You single me out out of all these people. Single me out out of all these people.
You're eating.
Bro, so what?
It's against the law. You're eating.
Bro, so what?
It's against the law.
He's under arrest. We're gonna take him back to
for what?
For what?
I didn't resist arrest. It's all on camera. Nobody resisted arrest.
Eating in the BART is a violation of California law.
Bro,
whether you like it or not.
Out of here, bro.
Someone had called 911 reporting a suspicious black man with the children.
See this black gentleman with these two little white kids, and I just had a funny feeling.
I am being harassed and followed.
For so many reasons, the video Corey Lewis recorded on his cell phone has been seen around the world.
I got two kids I'm babysitting.
You see him being pulled over last Sunday by Cobb County Police, answering a call in the Atlanta suburbs, and the officer asked the two children he was babysitting to step out of the car.
We ate at Subway, at Walmart, went and got some gas. She pulled up talking about are the kids okay?
What she didn't know is that Lewis runs a youth mentorship program with kids of every race and has babysat these kids for the past 2 years. The parents of the children were greatly upset by this and say they wish their children didn't have to learn this lesson. For all this caller knew, the babysitter could just as easily have been the children's father. There are families who look like this all across America, including mine. None of this would have happened if the babysitter and the kids were of the same race.
An African-American man who's an urban farmer ended up on trial over the allegations of 3 white women angered by his work on a community garden.
7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig tells us what happened and how it played out in court.
Mark Peoples went on trial this week on 3 counts of misdemeanor stalking, and by the time it was over, the judge had harsh words for the 3 women who claimed to be the victims.
These women, clearly were lying, you know what I mean? Clearly they were lying.
They complained saying that you have threatened them in the past.
Mark Peoples says for months 3 women who are white repeatedly called Detroit police on him for working on a garden in an old park on the city's east side, falsely accusing him of being a pedophile and having a gun. And when he painted trees red, black, and green, colors of the Pan-African flag, he was accused of being in a gang.
None of this was true. None of it is true. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, this was purposely done to try to destroy my life.
When Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford saw a fellow passenger hyperventilating, she started to help. A flight attendant asked if she was a doctor, so she took out her medical license. Then a second flight attendant asked if it was really hers. Delta came under fire in 2016 when another doctor, Tamika Cross, was turned away as she tried to assist a passenger. It's another example, some say, of bias against people of color.
You don't just have to use epithets and beat people down. You can just hold high the banner of skepticism about their skill, doubt about who they claim to be, and that is the same kind of force.
I came down, come up the block, and as I'm coming up the block, he stopped right there, and he's, where are you going? So we go back to where he is, and he's, well, this is stealing. This needs to go back now. I'm like, well, I just talked to the doctor and nurse. Well, I don't care about that. I don't care what
do is sell it on eBay.
Okay, he was up on 200 feet. Okay, 4. So I spoke to the doctor this morning, my nurses. They told me it's okay to come outside and walk around the property. He called you to say that he's a complainant of a possible theft. We haven't left the property. There is no theft. So you say I'm being detained?
Yes, you are. You're not free to leave.
Okay. And suspicion of theft, and we never left the property.
Right. He said you did not have permission to leave the hospital.
He's not my doctor or my nurse.
Okay.
And they're both inside right now.
He's the nursing director.
Yeah.
Supervisor.
He's my doctor.
Okay. You're under arrest. For what? For attempted theft.
I didn't try to do anything. Okay.
The black college student confronted by police while picking up trash in his own yard.
You have weapons, you have protection. I'm over here picking up trash on my property.
Atkinson, a student at a nearby college, says he even gave the officer his school ID. The officer still not convinced. Request for backup saying Atkinson is not willing to put down a tool. A swarm of officers arrive on scene. You can see one officer with his gun out. Atkinson and the officers appear to yell at each other for about 15 minutes until the property manager confirms Atkinson does indeed work and live there.
I thoroughly believe I was profiled. He was stopped for being black and working.
He was stopped for being black and cleaning his own property.
And talk to him?
But that's because I'm cutting the yard. I'm kind of busy. I'm trying to make my money.
Yeah, but when I saw you, you were going from door to door to
Yeah,
door.
I'm putting my business cards out.
Yeah.
Look.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, well,
Okay?
yeah. That's all you have to ask. You know, you see me cutting
But
grass, man.
let me see your ID.
Can I have a card, please, sir? Write your name down for me.
Tell you what. Just turn around, put your hands behind
For
your
what? Hey, nope. Hey, this man, hey, look, this man, look, hey. Look, this man trying to arrest me. It's on camera. Hey, nope. Hey. Look, I asked him for a card for his name. I got it all on recording. We going to court, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No. Hey.
You want to come over here?
I asked him for a card for his name. He trying to arrest. Hey, I ain't did nothing. You cannot put me in handcuffs, sir. Put them back in your pocket. I'm asking you. Hey.
What's the problem?
Hey, look.
I'm not understanding. The reason that you're not talking on that mic because you don't got nothing to talk about.
Exactly. We cutting grass, sir. You harassing us. We putting cards in people's door.
Put your hands down. Put your hands down.
My hands are
Put your hands down.
His hand's not up. Give me a card. I need your name.
You can't just because he's black.
Yeah,
That's what you did,
yeah.
just 'cause he black.
And I'm putting cards in the door right here. Look, this all we doing. This all we doing. You don't need my ID. Why are you trying to run my name? I need a card. I need your name.
No, we don't
Yeah,
need
no, Marcus. No, look. Cause look, if I don't do something about it, he gonna keep doing it, and somebody gonna get hurt. I need your name. I need your card. ASAP.
You're watching exclusive dash cam video of 4 Lorain police officers stopping Pele Smith for jaywalking. Things quickly escalated. Smith shouted for his mother to look after his son. Police handcuffed him from behind and escorted him to a cruiser. Suddenly,
Oh my God.
one of the officers slammed Smith's face into the windshield with such force
The glass shattered.
Wow. It's unbelievable.
Smith's lawyer is suing Lorain police for excessive force.
Gregory says back in November, she went to a party in Detroit where she believes someone drugged her. Paul Miskevich is her lawyer.
She had a couple of drinks and then woke up in a strange place. Didn't know how she got there.
That strange place was the Suez Motel on 8 Mile in Warren, where Gregory got arrested for trashing a room. By the time she's brought into the jail lockup on the top floor of the Warren Police Department, Gregory has been pepper sprayed, but she appears calm. It's clear in the video that Gregory can barely stand as she comes face to face with Officer Bernadette Nager.
She took it upon herself to get the scissors and for whatever reason decided that she was going to butcher my client.
As Officer Nager pats Gregory down, the officer pushes Gregory against the wall twice. Suddenly, Nager starts going for Gregory's hair. The officers struggle with Gregory, dragging her over to a restraining chair to tie down her arms and legs. Officer Nager starts yanking Gregory's head from side to side, chopping out chunks of hair. It takes 3 full minutes, but Nager gives one final yank, removing what's left of Gregory's weave. Gregory tells us in some places she now has bald spots because Nager ripped her real hair out by the roots.
He was being kicked off the plane for using the bathroom.
So basically, anytime we're going to take off for your safety and everyone's safety, we need you to see that. That's the bottom line.
I was very intentional about being non-threatening and pleading to use the restroom. And in all of that, I was still, a phone call went in that there was a threat that had to be removed from the plane.
Me and a friend of mine, you know, standing in my lobby of my building in the Castle Hill Projects in the Bronx, just talking, really ain't doing nothing but just talking, probably talking about nothing. And 4 detectives just ran into the building, told us to put our hands on the wall and stand up against the wall and freeze and everything under the sun. So we put our hands against the wall and we're like, okay, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So in the process of that, they gonna ask us, did we have any drugs? And I'm like, drugs? We don't even do anything, you know? No, we don't have no drugs. But they didn't believe us. And it went to an extent whereas they took us, both of me and my friend, into a stairwell and strip searched us in the lobby. Now you still got people coming in and out, you know, and it's a very, very embarrassing, situation. So they took our shirts off, pulled our pants down, and Y'all can imagine the rest. And actually started putting flashlights in, I'm gonna keep it be real with y'all, in our butts. Just because they trying to say that, oh, we may have a boofed it or something of that nature. So we was very, very embarrassed. I mean, I was humiliated beyond belief. Because from that point, you know, me and my friend got ragged on for a couple of months behind that. You know what I'm saying? But the funny part of the whole situation was they never found nothing. And once they finished, you know, interrogating us and searching us, well, so-called searching us, they just left. They didn't say sorry. They didn't say my bad. They didn't say, oh, wrong person. They didn't say nothing. They just left. And me and my friend standing there putting our clothes on like, what the heck just went down?
Sherrod Taylor talks about October 16th, 2 years ago, when he was pulled over by Dallas police, 10 o'clock at night in Oak Cliff. The music you hear is from the squad car. Officers listening to K104 FM. Officer Ricardo Salas approaches the driver's side, Jesse Aquino on the passenger door. Salas speaks first. You can't hear him because the officers have turned their microphones off. More on why that's significant in a moment.
Sticking his nose inside the car and kind of looking, and he's asking where the drugs are, specifically where the drugs are. And I'm telling him that I don't have any drugs. I didn't know what he was talking about. It was almost as if it was a joke of some sort.
But this was no joke.
After I gave my license, he asked me what do I do? And I told him I'm a truck driver, and it's there listed on my CHL. Yes, and that's when he looked at it and he was just like, where are the drugs?
That's when Taylor gave Salas his concealed handgun license, and when he says Aquino piped up.
Well, reach for MF, and I'm like, reach for what? This was only after I gave him my license, and he knew that I had a weapon in the car, in my vehicle. So with the reach for MF, he was provoking me.
Other officers are arriving now, and Salas asks him to step out of the vehicle. He does, and is taken to the front of the squad car, where Aquino asks to search his vehicle.
I refused to allow him to search, and he was saying things like, well, I'll just take you to jail so I can search your car anyway.
That's what happened. His car torn apart on the side of the road while he goes to jail for the charge of unlawfully carrying a weapon.
Never been to jail. Horrible experience. Never forget it. I will never forget it.
Or the rough ride to jail.
These guys were running red lights. They were flying. Right. A rough ride, exactly. They were pretty much acting like, as I stated in my report, just two wild fraternity kids.
The Internal Affairs investigation sustained allegations of false arrest, false imprisonment, falsifying police reports, and remember those turned-off mics? Failing to wear microphones in violation of department policy, and driving at excessive speed while transporting to jail.
To a witness tonight in the case of a young man who died following a struggle with mall security guards. We've been showing you this video captured by a shopper from Northland Mall. Let's now go live to 7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig. Now, Kim, what are you hearing tonight from the witness?
Well, Jeff, he says when it comes to the number of security guards that were actually on Mackenzie Cochran, he says in that video you only see 3, but before it was over, he says there were 5 or 6.
I know when I went in the store, he was on the ground saying, I can't breathe, and they were saying, stop resisting.
Akil Copeland was in Northland Mall Tuesday walking by security guards who had this man, Mackenzie Cochran, on the ground. And Copeland says Cochran looked like he was struggling to breathe. On this cell phone video sent to Action News, you can hear Cochran repeatedly say, I can't breathe.
To me, it looked like he was trying to get air.
We're told it all started when the owner of LA Diamonds inside the mall was suspicious of Cochran and claims Cochran said, I want to kill somebody. The store owner called security, and when the mall cops arrived, they believed he was not cooperating. But before there was any physical contact with Cochran, one of the security officers, who says he feared for his safety, pepper sprayed Cochran. Then came the struggle as they told Southfield police they were trying to grab Cochran's arms and legs. The next time Akil Copeland saw the 25-year-old Ferndale man, he appeared unconscious.
He was unresponsive looking. He didn't have his eyes open. He was sitting propped up against the wall.
Were the security guards trying to administer CPR or anything?
No, they were not.
He says the security guards were standing around Cochran, and one was visibly shaken.
Something is obviously wrong because this man is crying.
Who was crying?
One of the security officers.
Gerald Thurswell, an attorney for the family of Mackenzie Cochran, believes the security guards lack the training to know the effects the pepper spray would have on a person who has been put on the ground with their lungs compressed and a knee on their back.
Whatever he did didn't amount to the price that he paid.
Earl Sampson in Florida has been stopped and questioned by police a total of 258 times. 258. And all of that in just 4 years. The searches, 100 times. Arrests and jailings, 56 times. Almost every single one of these citations was issued at the very same place, the convenience store where Earl Sampson works. Our correspondent John Zarella is tracking the story in Miami. First of all, can we be clear? Is Earl Sampson an incredible criminal, or is there something stinky in that town?
No, you know, and according to his attorney, that there's nothing on his criminal record other than a marijuana possession charge, and that most all the times when he's been picked up, detained, everything's either been dismissed, thrown out, not adjudicated. Nothing with Mr. Sampson. In fact, his attorney says that if you added it up, all those times that you mentioned, that's the equivalent to being arrested about once a week for the last, or picked up or detained, once a week for the last 4 years. Don't stare too long.
No, don't be black and stare.
New tonight, police in Royal Oak apologizing for their actions, rather. This is all after that video we first showed you yesterday of officers stopping a black man after a white woman reported that he looked at her suspiciously. And for the first time, we are hearing the 911 call that started it all.
It's a silver vehicle. It's across the street from me. He's an African-American male, and I don't know what his deal is, but it's really not, it's making me not feel very comfortable at all.
This young man is stopped because a Caucasian lady said that he looked at her suspiciously.
This recent Facebook video was taken after 20-year-old Devin Myers had police called on him by a white woman who allegedly accused him of looking at her suspiciously. Myers says at the time his request for a supervisor to be called was denied, and he was made to feel like a criminal when all he wanted to do was park his car and get some food at a nearby restaurant.
I've seen it on TV, but I never thought it would happen to me, especially not in an urban area like this.
He has been pulled over walking to go to eat by 2 police officers.
Today, police released new dashcam video along with an apology and part of a statement saying, quote, the officer had no legal right to demand the identification and should have simply advised Mr. Myers why we were there and allowed him to go on his way.
This Friday, police officer Milton Green was shot by a fellow officer, leaving him unable to return to work. Green says the city has been dragging its feet on the investigation, and now he's at risk of losing his home.
The moment he was shot, everybody knew that he was shot by a fellow officer.
In June of 2017, a chase involving St. Louis police and a stolen car came to an end near Park and Astra in the city's North Point neighborhood. St. Louis police said the suspects and officers exchanged gunfire. The lawsuit says 3 suspects inside the car got out and ran past the home of off-duty police officer Milton Green, who was in his driveway. One of the suspects pointed his gun at Green. Green drew his service weapon, identified himself as police, and told the suspect to drop his gun. The suspect ran. Uniformed officers arrived and ordered Green to drop his gun and get on the ground. Green complied, identified himself as an officer, and showed his badge. The lawsuit says a detective allowed Green to get up and told other officers Green was police. The suit alleges Green was giving the detective a description of the suspect when Officer Christopher Tanner arrived on the scene, shouted, "Drop your weapon," while simultaneously shooting Green, and Green's family witnessed the incident. Green was rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery.
Anybody that kept into the emergency room, I told them what happened. My story never changed. It's not going to change then, it's not going to change now. I told them what happened.
Yet that was not the story provided by the then interim police chief that night.
An off-duty officer who lives in that area heard the commotion, came out of his house to render assistance, and during the exchange of gunfire, he was struck.
Now he's at risk of losing his home, and he isn't able to provide for his 4 children, who are still trying to make sense of what happened to their dad.
I had my badge out, and they said, well, why did he still shoot you? Their trust is It's rough. They're scared.
Caught on camera, there is shock and anger about this police body cam video. A cop using a taser and pepper spray on a man who was having a medical emergency while driving his car. That officer already resigned, and ABC's Alex Perez is here with more on the outrage and the fallout. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, Paula, as you said, one officer has already resigned, and this morning authorities are now investigating whether 2 other officers acted inappropriately. It all started as a call for a hit-and-run accident, but things quickly got ugly.
This morning, tense moments caught on tape. Police body cam video shows officers in Fredericksburg, Virginia, drawing their guns.
Let me see your other hand right now!
And yelling at a man who's sitting in the driver's seat and appears to be unresponsive.
Put your hands up, both of them, now!
Police called to the scene after Washington allegedly drove his silver Hyundai the wrong way down the street, hit another car, kept moving, and then struck a median. Officer Sean Jurgens then tases Washington, even though he does not appear to be moving. But the taser fails. Jurgens then pepper sprays him. Turns out the man, 34-year-old David Washington, was having some sort of medical emergency.
Get out the car, I'm gonna smoke you! Get out the car! Right now!
Finally threatening Washington and demanding he get out of the car.
That's the point. Get out. Don't move around.
The officers then drag him out of the car. Washington can be heard moaning. An ambulance eventually arrives and takes Washington to the hospital.
374 and slow them down.
It was a tense scene in upstate New York last April as Ramapo police can be seen on dash cam video approaching a car filled with 4 passengers wearing bulletproof vests. Guns drawn, all signs pointed to a serious situation.
All other units with caution. All other units with caution.
The video shows one person getting out of the car with his hands up. Minutes later, audio from a second dash camera reveals the situation is not what it appears.
Hey, all units that are not at that location, you can disregard.
The car's occupants are 4 New York State parole officers out executing a search warrant. Those officers say they were stopped because they are African American.
There's no doubt if I was Caucasian that I would not be standing here.
All 4 officers say they immediately identified themselves to Ramapo police, were wearing their shields, and offered to show identification.
No matter what we did to show or verify that we were, the aggressive treatment continued.
I was violently pulled out of the vehicle, and I was slammed against the vehicle.
The parole officers filed a civil suit against the Ramapo Police Department and the city, alleging their civil rights were violated.
They were assaulted and battered at gunpoint. Mario Alexandre was dragged out of his government vehicle.
You're acting very racist right now by calling us ghetto?
On Sunday, Patricia Elena pulled into this Cascade Township neighborhood to drop her kids off when things turned ugly.
I was just here dropping my kids off, and that's when she said that. She stormed across her yard, said, "Get out, you don't belong here, go back to the ghetto."
I suggest you go. It was her ex-boyfriend's neighbor, Tammy Postma, yelling insults from her condo across the street. And when Elena asked her to not do so in front of her 3 children, Postma became angry and called the police.
I was like, I didn't think I heard her right, so I went and I grabbed my phone, and I was like, no, I'm going to make sure I grab this. So I started recording her, and that's what you've seen on the video.
In the video, you can hear Postman say gang activity on the phone, and this police report says she called because of gang activity, but when he asked Postma about it...
So why would you think that it was gang activity, though?
I don't know.
She didn't have much to say.
But you know what? I had a couple drinks and just end that.
Her claims about a few drinks also showing up in the police report, which states that she had a half-full glass of wine near her when the police arrived and was slurring her words, something Helena says is still not an excuse for her actions.
How could you do that? How could you subject people to having to live on eggshells and in fear just because of your ignorance and bigotry?
This time, Postma is off the hook. for her unwarranted call to the police. But next time, it could lead to charges.
Continue false reports using 911 in a manner that is not permissible, not an emergency. Stalking type behaviors are all absolutely situations that could lead to criminal charges.
Unfortunately, Helena's family has only lived in the neighborhood for about a month, but she tells me she hopes this type of behavior does not continue.
Meanwhile, the next day, my son's asking, Mom, what did we do wrong? Like, we were just laughing, you know? How do you explain that to a child?
Yeah, that's a difficult one there. Now, Postma threatened to have the family kicked out because she told them she was on the condo association board. We have found out that that is not true. And again, according to the authorities, Postma could face a fine or jail time if this behavior continues. For now, live in the newsroom, Candace Charles, Fox 17 News.
2 employees accused of racial profiling at a Hilton DoubleTree hotel in Oregon are on leave this morning. The hotel apologized a second time to Jermaine Massey. In a widely shared Instagram video and several other videos, he claimed he was targeted for, quote, calling his mother while black. DeMarco Morgan shows us how this is the latest incident of police being called on African Americans who are doing seemingly ordinary things.
It's another talker this morning, guys. Good morning to everyone. Jermaine Massey was returning from a concert Saturday night when he said he went to a quiet corner of the hotel lobby to take a phone call from his mother. When a security officer, now dubbed Hotel Earl by the internet, approached him, things got heated.
You really want this PR issue, Earl? Do you?
Jermaine Massey was ordered to pack his bags and leave the DoubleTree Hotel in Portland, Oregon, hours after he checked in.
A situation here.
The 71-year-old security guard, Earl Wesley Myers, had asked Massey for his room number. Massey said he didn't remember it and requested privacy for his phone call. Instead, Myers called for the police.
Why are they coming?
Escort you off the property.
Because what? And I'm staying here?
Not anymore.
He even went so far to say that he's there to protect the safety of the guests, as if I weren't a guest and I was causing a disturbance and I was a safety threat.
Massey says white guests in the lobby were not similarly questioned.
They're not loitering.
How am I loitering in an area that's public?
You're sitting here.
So this area is off limits after a certain time?
Only if you're a guest.
I am a guest.
You didn't tell me that.
I just checked in with my American Express.
And Massey produced his room key for a manager.
He wouldn't ask me to call 911 without any cause.
I didn't do anything to this man.
Okay.
I'm taking a phone call.
But responding officers warned Massey he could be arrested for trespassing if he stayed.
That I need to leave.
Control of the property, yes.
You know, judging someone based off of the color of their skin, you never know how it feels until you've actually been there. I could have went to jail had I responded a different way.
And the past year, police have been called on a group of black people barbecuing.
It's illegal to have a charcoal grill in the park here.
A girl selling bottled water on the sidewalk.
Illegally selling water without a permit.
And Bob Marley's granddaughter after she and her friends left their Airbnb.
Yeah, we're standing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here. Yeah.
Massey checked into a different hotel Saturday after he was kicked out without a refund.
Get out! Stop resisting! Stop! Get off of him! There's a kid! Stop resisting! Get off! Stop resisting! Get out! Can you get off of him? Stop the fuck out me! It's a kid! Get on the ground! It's a fucking kid! It's a goddamn kid! Turn around! Stop! Around! Kid! Hey, look it! Turn around! Turn around! Turn around! Leave him alone! Stay on the ground! Stay right there! Shoot yourself! Kid! Stay on the ground!
Come here. What do you? Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. I said.
You're welcome.
What is I'm under arrest for?
Hey, you want to help me or?
Yes.
What is I'm under arrest for?
Hey.
Just relax, dude.
Hold on, bud.
What is I'm under arrest for?
Just relax, dude. Look, if you resist, it's going to be a problem. Stop resisting, and you're going to be a problem. Just relax.
What is I'm under arrest for?
No, you're gonna have to do it.
No, I'm gonna.
Just relax, dude.
What's he do? What do you do? What's he do? What do you do?
What I do?
He has
Tell me
manhandling, and he's been having people buy shit for him over in the
What I do?
Relax, dude. Relax. Relax. Relax.
But this shit is tight.
Stuff for him? Why did they gotta get this far? Here. Relax, dude.
Hey,
you resist, you're gonna
calm down.
Alright, watch out, bro.
Hey, no.
Alright, watch out. Let me go.
We're not letting you, bud. Calm down.
He's notorious for being around here, trespassing on the properties.
Hey, what is your
I've been doing nothing.
Hey, bud. Hey. Hey. You alright?
Either
He was chasing me all over there.
to be
Carnival.
back to his parents, something.
No, you been chasing me, bro. You know that's a goddamn
What's your
lie.
name? What's your name, boss? How old are you, sweetheart? How old are you?
Man, what the fuck? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Hey.
He doesn't, what do you mean if you know, call his parents.
Yeah, you can't do this. You can't.
Hey! Hey!
You can't do this. Okay,
What's your name and your bag number?
Let me go. Let me go.
No, I got it.
What's your name and your bag?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your name and bag number, man?
Whoa,
back up.
You're touching me.
Stop.
You gonna have to.
Hey.
Yeah, go get him. You can't do this.
Go on, look at that. Hey. Stop. Hey. Look.
I don't care. Let me go. Let me go.
Back of the car.
No, you're not.
Yes.
I ain't do nothing to you.
Remember that.
Okay. I ain't do nothing to you.
It doesn't matter. You guys are doing this to a little ass
I don't
kid.
care.
His parents should
Charles,
be here.
21. Can we go one more?
You shouldn't be touching on him like
Listen
that.
to my parents should be here. What is you doing? What the fuck is you doing, bitch?
That's fucking it. You just spit on me.
That's it? Yeah, I spit on your How you like that shit?
Hey, watch out. Watch out. Don't be choking him like that. What are you doing?
We're not choking him.
Put your hands off his neck, bro. What are you doing?
Stop kicking.
Stop.
Put your hands off his neck. You can't be doing that shit.
Get back, sir.
Yo,
back
don't
up.
touch me. Don't touch me.
Back up.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I will arrest you for.
Don't touch me. For what? For what?
For my scene,
For
dude.
what? For what? What
Back
can
up.
you arrest me for? For what? What can you arrest me for?
I don't care. I don't want your bitch ass. Get her, bitch. Do something. Fuck. Not.
Come on, down. Get him on the ground.
Fucking racist ass bitch.
21. Start my other unit code, please.
Police brutality, bitch. You ain't got no right to be doing this shit. You ain't got no right. No rights. No rights. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. What is you doing?
Spit on me. Okay.
Yeah, I spit on your bitch ass. You know what?
Hey. You need to calm down, dude.
No, I don't get to calm
down, okay?
Yeah, fuck.
Sergeant, can you stand back, please?
Bitch ass face. Yeah, spit in your face, bitch. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
We're gonna go to juvie now, dude.
No, I don't give a fuck. Fuck, you got me fucked up, bro. I ain't do shit. Bro, let me the fuck up.
No. He's been spitting on me. You have a spit mask, dude?
Yeah, I spit on you.
Oh, I know you.
Yeah, I spit on you. I spit on your fucking
kid?
Bro.
Yeah, he is just a little terrorizer.
Stop resisting, bro.
Isaiah,
Look at that. Yeah, he is just a little terrorizer. Yeah, he is just a little terrorizer. He spit on me like 3 times in the face. On me, in the face, so.
In your face, bitch.
Alright, that escalated. I did not need to go this way.
Oh,
alright, we need to get him in the car.
I spit on your bitch ass, too.
So he's kicking his feet.
Alright, let me up, bro.
We max return child.
Huh?
We max return child.
Just hold on.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just slow it down.
I know. I'm hurting.
Right now.
I can't fucking breathe, bro.
All right. Hey.
I can't breathe.
Turn over.
I can't breathe.
There you go.
All right, let me get out, bro.
No. You're not getting out yet.
Right there. Stay on the fucking floor. Bro, take this bag off my head. Take this bag off my head.
Sit up. Sit up.
Take this bag off my head.
Hey, if I sit you up, are you gonna kick me?
Take this bag off my head.
I cannot. You're spitting at me, bud.
That's the officer.
How old is he?
He's about 10 years old.
All right, put your legs straight, please.
That's what I'm saying.
Whoa. Just leave your...
Yeah, what did I do?
Please back up.
Look at me. Hey, man. Oh, take this bag off my head.
Back them up. Hey, just stand right here, bud. Stand right here.
Get this bag off my head.
Don't spit at me. Let's remove the bag for me, okay? Do you hear me? If you don't listen, baby, they ain't gonna remove the bag for you.
We're not
You're not
removing
gonna spit, right?
He's not gonna spit.
Okay. My face
Did you remove the bag? He said he ain't gonna spit, baby.
You want help?
Okay.
Bro, get the bag off my head.
It's not coming off.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I don't even know. Go see my little sister.
Bro, get this bag off my head.
Yes, this way, right. Where's my little sister? No, I seen him at the carnival. That's why I was trying to figure out who the hell that is.
Hey, buddy. What's your name?
My 10-year-old.
Are you gonna kick?
Off of his head now. He's not gonna spit anymore.
I'm not gonna say nothing, bro. Why not? Wait, my mom is coming.
Come on, we're in the car.
I won't get this shit off my head.
Come on, have a seat.
Let me go.
Don't kick me.
Let me go. I will kick your bitch ass in the face.
Yeah, they do.
Jump on in there, bud.
They really do. What are you talking about?
Let this bag off my head. 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 Let this bag off my head.
Yeah.
This body cam video has a mother tonight calling for Grand Rapids police officers to be suspended.
On top of your head, man.
Police say these boys fit a description from a 911 call about two males who might have a weapon walking in the same general location.
Black male, approximately 13 years old, carrying possibly a toy gun, not sure. He is wearing a red shirt and walking with another black male in a black shirt.
The boy's mother says seeing an officer pointing his gun at her children makes her sick to her stomach.
Why do you put my 11-year-olds in handcuffs and draw guns and point them to their heads?
How old are you, bud? How old are you, bud?
11.
All right.
You hear that child sobbing in the video that shows officers cuffing and searching the two boys and a 17-year-old family friend before putting them in a cruiser.
Have a seat. Legs in.
Police may shoot them. When is it going to stop? When they hurt someone?
When officers searched the boys for weapons, found nothing, then let them go.
Here, he's talking about a 6th grade student who's in trouble.
This morning, she went straight to the cafeteria. She took more milks than she was supposed to. She threw a milk on the ground.
At this point, the girl is waiting for her mom to pick her up. We are concealing her face and identity because she's a minor.
The vice principal and principal had been following her around.
According to Officer Christensen's field report, the child assaulted 2 school employees. But take a look at the lapel camera footage. This is what the officer claimed was the first assault, as the student walks past the assistant principal. And this is what the officer says was the second assault.
Can't push him out of the way.
The girl tries to move past the principal to open the door. Then, Officer Christensen loses his patience.
Okay, I've had enough of this. Take your bag off. Take your bag off. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're not going to assault the principal.
The officer's lapel camera is knocked to the ground, but a school employee repositions it, capturing what happens next.
Put your arms behind your back. Put your arms behind your back. Ow! My arm. Get off me. Ow!
As soon as he asks you.
My arm. calling your parents. You're being detained now for cooperation.
For what?
For cooperation of investigation.
Get off of me! Yo, what?
What are you doing? You don't want to do
Get off
this.
of me! I'll tell you my name.
Oh, stop.
What? Get off of me!
Relax. To the ground. You're gonna get hurt. Stop. Stop.
Stop! Get the off of me!
Seriously.
I'm not going nowhere!
Dude. Hey, look. Stop.
Oh, tell him to get off of me!
No. I'm not gonna do that.
No, tell him to get off of me! I'll tell him.
Get back. Now. Tell him I'm trying to help him out, man. Get back.
Record, young.
Get back.
Mom, get off of me!
Get back. Just back up, man. Seriously, just back up. You let that badge go to your head, man. You let that badge go to your head. Stop. For no reason. I'm trying to help. Then turn around. Put your hands behind your back. You're being detained. You're being detained right now.
Oh, get that hard ass off! Y'all, get that off of me! Get off!
Stop. Stop. Stop.
Get off!
Stop. He flip. Yep. Tell him there's an accident.
While Grimes rode his red ATV on Rossini Drive in Detroit, Trooper Mark Bessner's squad car was in pursuit. When Grimes didn't pull over, Bessner shot him with a taser. There, standing over Grimes' body, is Trooper Bessner.
Yeah, crashed into the Can you get me a mask out of it?
When EMS arrived at the hospital, Grimes was pronounced dead. Hours later, police were still on the scene. As the sun set, they used a hose to clean up the crime scene where a 15-year-old lost his life. Neighbors watched in disbelief.
Now they want to clean up the blood after they just killed my little cousin.
A lawyer representing 2 Pittsburgh high school students plans to sue the school and police for what they claim is a pattern of abuse targeting black students. Video of one incident shows a school resource officer putting a student in a headlock before pushing him down and then later using a taser. Vladimir Dutier of our streaming network CBSN has the school's response.
Suddenly, Shaulis confronts Williams, putting him in a headlock and eventually dragging him to the hallway. Principal Kevin Murray helps Officer Shaulis hold Williams down while a teen is handcuffed and tasered. At a press conference, Williams' attorney Todd Hollis said this is one of 3 known incidents at Woodland Hills School District.
If a picture speaks 1,000 words and that picture clearly does, this picture clearly does, then a video has to speak 1,000,000.
In another alleged incident in November, audio appears to capture Principal Murray scolding a student found on school property after hours.
You call me a I'm a punch you in your face. Just so you know that, okay? Man to man, bro. I don't give a if you're 14 years old or not. I will punch you in your face.
A third incident in early April shows student Kayshawn Wade restrained by 2 police officers and taken into a room off camera. Principal Murray is seen walking in and out of the room. Hollis claims Wade was then punched in the face by Officer Shaulis.
And now it's delivering a newspaper while black. This time it's an 11-year-old. His name is Uriah Sharp. Police called on him on the first day of his new paper route in Ohio, the very first day. His mother got him the part-time job so he could learn the importance of hard work. So Uriah went out on his route, and then the police showed up. An officer told Uriah and his mom that a woman in the park who was across the street called them because she saw Uriah walking to houses empty-handed and then walking away with something in his hands. So
from me to you, I did not appreciate, the police being called on my 11-year-old African-American son.
And she hasn't reached out to you? No one has reached out to you since then, right?
No, they haven't.
Her car loaded up with small children, her hands above her head, then shackled in cuffs. Moments later, her 6-year-old son Ryan comes out too, with his hands in the air.
It makes me angry all over again.
How did this happen? Well, it started with this 911 call and a very clear description of a vehicle speeding down the highway, the driver possibly waving a gun out the window.
It is going to be a beige or tan-colored Toyota occupied by 4 black males.
I drive a Nissan Maxima that is burgundy red.
No match. But after the suspect car sped far down the road, The 911 caller was now far back and thought the suspect was exiting the highway. And that's the very exit where police spotted Kamitra Barber's car.
The complainant that called in said that vehicle took that exit.
Put your hands on your head. Right here. Come on back.
Yes, sir.
Come on back.
What is wrong?
Talk to you in a minute.
My kids.
Hold on.
They're 6 and 8 and 10, 9. What are we doing?
Hold on a second, okay?
Sir, what is going on? Oh my God, you are terrified my children.
We got a complaint. The vehicle matching your description and your license plate pointing a gun out the window.
In less than a minute, the officers knew they had the wrong car. You can hear them de-escalate.
Do they look young to you?
They do to me.
Gun down, gun down. Come on back here, son. Come on back here. You're all right.
Within moments, the officers are trying to calm the children's nerves.
It's okay. No, everything's fine.
No one's going to jail. Everything's fine now. Everything's fine. Hey, stop crying. It's okay. It's okay. But everything's fine now.